We are honored to welcome a dynamic leader who's been instrumental in shaping the luxury automotive landscape in India, Balbir Dhillon, who is the head of Audi in India. He has a rich experience of the automotive business, gained in a career span of over 23 years, holding multiple leadership and senior management positions in the industry. Driven with a clear vision, Balbir has effectively led, trained and coached national and international teams, cultivating excellent relationships with the head office, business partners and suppliers while putting organization on a sustainable and profitable growth trajectory. Here's him in conversation with Mint Editor-in-Chief Ravi Krishnan.
Welcome to the 22nd edition of the Hindustan Times Leadership Summit. We have with us here today Balbir Dhillon, who heads Audi in India. And we are going to talk about the future of electric vehicles in India. Welcome, Balbir. Thanks for talking to us at the HT Leadership Summit.
Ravi, thank you very much for having me. And congratulations on this Summit, 22nd Summit. I think you're also celebrating 100 years of HT. So really happy to be part of this journey. I mean, I've been an avid reader all this while, and I hope to continue the same.
So let me start by asking you about a broad question about the future of EV. Recently, we have seen that, there has been a slowdown in EV sales, not only globally, but also a little bit in India. How do you see the way forward for the industry?
Just keep in mind that, we are in the very beginning of electric mobility. It's not that we've covered a lot of years. It's been a few years that the industry has taken this leap jump into the new segment, in the new technology. And whenever there is a major shift that happens, not just in India, perhaps globally as well, it takes many years because, there are four stakeholders that have to come together to make, especially the EVs, to be a success. One is, of course, that the top of the pyramid is the customer. So somebody has to accept these cars and they would be driving these cars. So they are the top of the pyramid. Then peripheral is also the charging infrastructure. So now, we have, let's say, 75, 80,000 fuel station in India, but there are not these many charging points in India. And what kind of charging points, high speed, low speed, all those challenges. Second thing is the charging infrastructure. The third is the policy. Whenever there is this kind of a change, which is anticipated that you need to achieve certain penetration in EVs, we need to have a positive policy framework, across the board, helping from top to bottom. And last but not the least, the OEMs. Whatever contribution we could give from our side, developing the technology, bringing latest technology also into the country, and also helping as much as possible into setting up the charging infrastructure, not just the chargers, but also a lot of peripheral things like softwares, charging application, etc. So I think all of these things come together needs to make this industry successful. And we are running a marathon. It is not a sprint. So we've just run a little bit of this marathon. And I think we'll continue to need to push this. And a lot also, like you mentioned, globally, you're seeing a little bit of a slowdown. A lot of incentives have been given to the industry in the past. Whenever the incentives are taken back, you will always see this slowdown that happens. But I think all of this is temporary. Over a period of time, we should see the industry further growing up. And last but not the least, you don't have all the models available across the board right now. Whether even if I talk of Audi, we only represent a certain segment of customers. We are importing certain number of cars. We are importing certain costly, let's say, cars at a certain cost and above. We don't have cars available across the board. And same if you see in general in the automotive industry in India as well, not all of the manufacturers are participating in across the board. So I think when we have all the models, when you have charging infrastructure, you will see this growing. So like I say, there will be ups and downs. Automotive industry moves ups and downs. So this will be part of our life. We'll need to be resilient. We need to be clear on our focus that we need to continue to push this topic. So I think ups and downs will be part of life, but we need to be clearly focused and continue to grow.
So, from your interactions with customers and people who are in the market to buy vehicles, what do you think is the single most important factor which influences their decision, to buy electric vehicles or not go for electric vehicles? Because in a recent survey, which I read recently, about 55% of people who are already electric vehicle owners said they wanted to go back to internal combustion engine vehicles.
The cars that we've sold in India, we've been in touch with our customers very, very closely, personally meeting them, speaking them. So multiple things. In our segment in luxury space, first of all, our customers have multiple cars. So, electric cars is not the only car. It is one of the cars, mostly what they own. So when it comes to running these cars within a city, all our customers are very, very comfortable because you have now, a single fully charged car can give you up to 600 kilometers, 550, 600 kilometers of range. So within city, there is absolutely no trouble. So one of the challenges our customers do talk about is if they need to move within 2 cities, then what is a comfort zone? The next topic, which we when we got into a little more detailing, we were also checking with them that yes, we have charging points in between 2 cities. So the next question comes from their side is that what if the charger is not working when I go there? These are the kind of nuances, these are the kind of questions. Resale value of these cars, all of these are the topics which, because these are products which are just, let's say, 2 to 3 years old, the resale values are not yet established. There are always questions in customers' mind. Will I lose more value? So all of these kind of questions remain in a customer's mind, and this is our duty. This is what we do on a daily basis. We try to find answers to these questions. And we've when we launched the car, we had certain products which we had launched along with the car, some software, my Audi application. We have also evolved over the last 2-3 years of time basis our customers' feedback. So I think these are some of the challenges. Charging infrastructure is one for sure. And resale value is another topic for sure. I probably would beg to differ because most of our customers that we speak to have not talked to us to this percentage which you mentioned, that half of the customer want to go back to ICE. So I don't think so that be the case, but this could be different for different segment of customers. Maybe, like I said, our customers own more than one car, so for them owning a car is an electric car has been really pleasure so far.
Right. So you have been setting up an open charging infrastructure in different regions of the country. What kind of challenges are you facing in setting up this charging infrastructure?
Well, first and foremost is the geography of the country. So you can understand we are a very large geography. We have set up 140 charging points. Most of this is at our dealerships or our group brand dealerships. We've also set up ultra fast charging station in BKC in Mumbai. So, there will always be a limitation for us that we, at the end of the day, are not a charging infrastructure company. So physical charging infrastructure will always remain a limitation, though we are trying as much as we can to be part of this journey. What we've done otherwise is for all our customers, we have created a My Audi application, which is a charging hub where a customer can define their journey where they're going from A to B, and they'll be guided on their journey to the close by charging points. We have 1,000+ chargers on that app, to the extent that customers know if a particular charger is working or not working. So there is a live feed that comes into this application. So this is our journey that we have had. We have set up, let's say, over 10 special repair workshop for the batteries, because we need to set up at our workshops and at leadership. So our investments is not just into charging infrastructure, also to maintain these cars. We have hundreds of technicians who have been trained on this because of the longevity of the product. Any car that we sell, we need to service that car for 10-15 years. So we are all preparing ourselves for all of this, and this takes time. Battery disposal, all of this tie-ups for battery disposals. So these are all the background activities that continue to be part of our challenges. I would say not challenges. Let's talk of opportunities. So this is the background work that we need to do, and this we are doing, and it takes time. I think we've evolved with a lot of learnings that we had from our customers, and we hope that in the coming times we will be able to penetrate more than what we have today so far.
How do you see this network of this charging stations which you have set up? How do you see it evolving in the future? Are you planning to get into any partnerships with other entities to expand it?
Oh, absolutely. All the ideas are open. In fact, what we have done, wherever we have set up the chargers, we already have partnerships that we have with the charging point operators. So this is always in conjunction with partners who have the full expertise on this topic, because we can contribute to some extent, but we also need, let's say, technical support or infrastructure that needs to be managed. So there are tie-ups that we work closely, and this is how we intend to also grow in the future.
How do you see, government policy both at the center and the state? How do you see it affecting, the future of the EV industry? I mean, what is your assessment?
I would say most of the countries where there have been a major success that has been achieved in electric mobility, countries like Norway, Iceland, Sweden, Netherlands, etc., all this has come on the back of very strong support by the government. So this is the basis on which this shift can happen. So our government, we are very happy that the initiatives that have been taken by the central government. The GST is 5% as compared to 48 to 50% otherwise for the ICE cars in the luxury space that we are in. Otherwise, the government is also helping in making the charging infrastructure better. Apart from the state, some of the state governments also have lesser registration costs. So I think all of this is helping us. Well, if you say, is it enough? The answer will always be, we can always get better. We can always get some more support. Because when we sell cars in India, part of these cars are being sold if we import them fully, and let's say 90% of otherwise the cars that we sell in India are mostly assembled in India. So there is always that gap. If we import, the import duties are very high. So wherever there is a possibility for the government to help us, at least 5, 7, 10 years till the time there's a certain percentage of penetration is achieved, I think that that needs to be continued. I think what we expect from the government is a stable policy where we can plan for 3 to 5 to 10 years ahead of us. That's how we work. So I think in general we are very positive because there is a focus, very clear focus. Every communication that you hear from the government, from the ministries, is clearly on the electrification. So that to that extent we are very happy. We just need consistency, and I'm very hopeful that this will continue and we will achieve more penetration in the times to come.
Is there any particular policy tweak that you think is needed, especially for the luxury EV segment?
I think most importantly for me, I would still say that if wherever the state governments have given some concession of registration of EVs, that continues for the coming years, because we've also seen that in some of the states it's had been withdrawn. So suddenly when these kind of incentives are withdrawn, you see customers shying away from buying the vehicles. I think the most important topic still would be if there is a way that the government can help to improve the high-speed charging infrastructure across the country. And also if there is a possibility to bring one app where all the charging point operators can bring their charging stations on one single app for ease of operations, where the payment gateway is available, just like UPI is a common factor where you can pay to anybody today. Similarly, if there is a charging app that could be developed centrally, I think everybody could join the same app, and this could help improve that mindset of our customers where they feel, I don't know where to go and charge. So I think these are some of the things which are a little softer, and some of the things where we need really concrete step so that the charging infrastructure improves and we are able to sell more cars.
The PM e-drive scheme has laid some emphasis on charging infrastructure. Do you think that is sufficient?
I think any effort that comes by is positive. There can always be things that you can do better, more, but anything, it's only helping upwardly, it's only helping positively. So I think that the talk itself, that you are showing a direction, is good enough many times for us to decide for our future products that this is the direction that is coming from the government. So I think all of this is definitely helpful, as in when it gets executed on the ground in the real life, where we see it's whenever you come with these new ideas, you always will have challenges in implementing. And over a period of time, then you do the course correction and then refine all of these ideas. And this is where the practically the real life ease to the customers comes by. I think it's a positive step, and we wish that it works well, and we continue to get even more support from the government.
Battery costs are, a very high component of electric vehicles. And given the way that, how there are these rare earth components also which go into batteries, where China as a whole, how do you see, value chain, supply chains, or rather global value chains around EVs evolving? Because the high prices of electric vehicles is also one constraint in their adoption, isn't it?
No, you're right. I think two-sided answer. One is the recycling of the batteries. Once we have to achieve that over a period of time, where the outgoing batteries are being replenished, reused, and of course the first question is again how the supply chains are. I think as the volumes grow, the cost will come down, and we are in the process of achieving those threshold volumes. May not be in India yet for us, I would say, but over a period of time for our group, we have started manufacturing these batteries in multiple of our plants globally, and as we start manufacturing ourselves, the cost will come down. So there is no doubt about it. But of course, like you said, rare earth metals, there is a dominance of certain players, certain countries that will remain. I mean, we are also living in a world where we largely dependent on oil on other countries. So this, dependency on one another will always remain. We are a part of a global company, so this will continue to be. But I think as the volumes grow, the cost will come down. We have not yet reached there.
Is it only economies of scale that are going to drive battery costs down, or is some R&D also happening where we can hope that push?
Absolutely, both sides. I think like I said, it's been a couple of years only into this technology, so you will see more and more technology coming by, and of course the scale that grows. So both-sided approach, I would say.
Audi itself has been importing many of its models from the global EV portfolio. Are there any plans to manufacture some of these vehicles in India?
Well, you're right. We were one of the first ones to launch many cars. We in fact had 4 SUVs, and we were the first one to launch the 2 sports cars in the EV space way back about 3 years back. I cannot give you the answer right now, but we are evaluating, because now in our global portfolio, we are globally launching certain new products on the new platform. So we are in discussion with our headquarters. We also need a minimum threshold volume to even assemble these cars in India. So we are working with the headquarters. I don't have an answer, positive or negative right now, but very seriously, we are working on these topics. And as soon as I have some news, I'll be able to share.
But what factors would influence this decision?
Mostly the volumes, because you have to keep in mind that, even if I sell one car, we sell one car in the country, we have to service that car for 10, 15 years. So a minimum threshold is required for us to take that decision, and which particular model is, successful so last 3 years, whatever we've been able to sell in India, that has given us experience to also decide the future. So whether you pick up SUVs or pick up sedans or you pick up sport bags, so what body type will be more successful, what minimum threshold volume, what kind of policies are existing, which will lead us to reach certain volume. So we need to plan 3 to 5 years, and so that minimum volumes is what we need for any particular car to be made in India. So I think we are in the process of defining these parameters for some of our future products. And once we are able to crack that with our headquarters, I think that's the time when we should be able to share more details on this. But yeah, I think single word answer is volumes.
Circling back to this, this battery issue, there is also, one section of experts who are saying that, maybe we should focus a little bit on flex fuels and hybrid vehicles in the short to medium term. Before we focus fully on electric vehicles. What are your views on that?
Well, I will limit here my views mostly on the luxury space, or specifically where we operate. So I think our stand has been very clear, and I will tell you also why. That we are moving from from ICE to electric straight. We are not looking at any intermediary step. The reason is the luxury space in India is still very small. We'll end up selling about, let's say, 4.2 million cars this year, but we will end up selling just about 50,000 cars in the luxury space. And that 50,000, 40,000, 50,000 has remained for many years now. So the luxury space still is very small. And you have all the players, let's just say, I don't know, 80, 90 or 100 models in the luxury space are existing for this 50,000 cars. So if you just look at per model sale, it is just about 500. So the volumes still are very, very limited. So I think all of this does play a big role in our decisions on these topics. And I think as we evolve, as the industry evolves, as we grow further, we will be able to bring in more models that are made in India.
So in your assessment, let's say by 2030, what percentage of luxury vehicle sales will be made up by electric vehicles?
Well, first and foremost, I think as per our current assessment, if the things remain same, the luxury space should be close to about 100,000 cars, let's say somewhere in 2030, 2032, around that period. I think our assessment is between 40 to 50% should be electric vehicles. So, because we are also moving in this direction globally, Audi has decided to be a fully electric car company. That's the decision from our board, from our headquarters. By 2033, probably 1 or 2 years up and down. So we are already moving in that direction, and that's one of the reasons why electric cars to be made in India is only a matter of time. It is not the question of if; it's a question of when. So I think in terms of penetration, luxury space could achieve this kind of penetration in next 8 to 10 years time.
And what about the overall market? The government is aiming for 30% EV penetration by 2030. Do you think that is optimistic or realistic?
I think a little optimistic, but let me also put a caveat that if we are able to develop the charging infrastructure properly, and if we are able to give that convenience to our customers, it's very much possible. But this is something which needs to be taken on very high priority and needs to be worked upon by all the stakeholders together and able to offer this to our customers. And I think it's possible, but a bit challenging.
I mean, in those examples you gave of countries which have like very high EV penetration, like Iceland and Norway, how does the charging infrastructure, I mean, who ultimately took responsibility? Is it the government's responsibility? Is it the OEM's responsibility? Or should, how did it come up? What model should India, look to implement there?
So one of the thing is that geographically, those countries are not as big as India. So that is one thing which we have to keep in mind. But also, you have to keep in mind that this development of these countries have been a common, the joint effort. The government's direction was very clear. So there were very strong incentives, not just to the cars buyers, but to the manufacturers as well as to the charging infrastructure companies. So most of the OEMs, they tied up with all these charging infrastructure companies and set up their charging network. So that is, I think, that is a mantra of success. Consistent policies with strong support to everybody, customers, OEMs, and charging companies. I think combination of all of this made these countries have the kind of penetration they have. I think if I'm not wrong, Norway has touched almost 80% now.
Well, then charging infrastructure, I think, remains the key to allay range anxiety and accelerate the adoption of EVs.
When I say charging infrastructure, I mean to say high-speed charging infrastructure, so that you charge in 30 minutes and move on. It's not that you need to stand there for 3 hours, 4 hours. So, high speed, 120 kilowatts, 150 kilowatts, that's what we need, especially on the highways. For the cities, it's workable because most of the cars that we sell, we give an additional charger at home or an office. So within city, there is no problem. Highways is where we need high-speed charging infra. So that is what our requirement would be.
Thank you, Balbir, for sparing time to have this discussion with us on the future of EVs in India.
It was my pleasure, Ravi. Thank you so much.